Okay, so this is, I guess, the game design live chat today, where we're doing pitch practice with various designers and various publishers here. All the publishers can go around and give like a sentence or two on who they are if they want. Starting with Heather.
Hi, everybody. Heather O'Neill from Inkwell Games, also game designer. We make a bunch of kind of family-friendly games like Schrodinger's Cats and Meeple Party, and we also have a line of role-playing games.
Molly?
Okay, I'm Molly Johnson, and I'm with Flatout Games. We have two streams. We do a design group stream, and then we publish other people's games. So I guess I'm here in that capacity. So you may be familiar with our really at this point only published game is Point Salad, and we kickstarted Calico last fall.
And Peter.
Hi, I'm Peter C. Hayward, Jellybean Games. We make kid-friendly games that adults love. You can see them up here behind me. The overriding principle of our company is that all of our games you can play with two kids that have a good time, two adults that have a good time, an adult and kid. Both sides would be engaged through the entire game.
Okay, so our first designer is Ananda. You're going to have 3 minutes to do your pitch, and then we'll give you feedback.
All right.
And we want to add this to the stream?
Yes, this is my tabletop simulator prototype. Okay, so this is Spelling Brawl. It's a word game for 2 to 4 players, and it plays in about 20 minutes. The idea is players are wrestlers competing for a championship. So on your turn, you move around the hexagonal board by spelling a word using the letter tiles. So for example, you could spell the word cut, C-U-T, as the yellow wrestler. By moving in specific patterns, you can execute attacks against your opponents. So for example, if you move directly toward your opponent, you shove them. Or if, say, you move away from them, you can throw them. And your objective is to either force them off the board. So for example, by pushing them off or throwing them off, or you're trying to maneuver them into a position where they can't move anymore because they can't spell any words. So, like for example, you trap them in this corner and then they have no way to move anymore. So what I see as sort of the unique innovation of this game is combining word search with tactical positioning. So its player interactions are a lot more direct than the typical word game. And combat it's less abstract than in many tactical games. There's sort of a very viscerally satisfying feel of like moving around and throwing your opponents around and, executing combos where you do multiple attacks in the same move. And it provides players with a lot of opportunities to feel clever by finding words that let them execute strings of attacks. It's the gameplay is fairly simple. It should be easy to pick up. I feel that this game will appeal to fans of word games, fans of tactical combat games, and fans of abstract strategy, because of course, this game is all about moving around on a board and positioning things. And it'll also especially appeal to people who are in the overlap. And I feel like, a lot of word games are sort of, they don't really have direct conflict. And I feel like this fills that niche.
How long does it go?
Well, he has 30 seconds, but you can cut off whenever.
Yeah, it goes about 20 minutes.
What are the blue hexes?
Those are the starting hexes. So those indicate where players start, and there are no letters on those at the start of the game. Also, the blue hexes are slightly safer than the other ones because you can't be pushed or thrown off the board from a blue hex in one attack just because of the way the geometry works.
Are they wilds? Can you like if? Sorry.
Sure. So one of the mechanics is you have letters in your hand and you can play them to the board onto empty spaces.
Okay, that was going to be my first question when we were done. Is I was very confused as to how that was set up. Okay.
Yeah. And also, as you play the game, letters will be removed from the board, which opens up spaces to play more letters from your hand.
Got it.
So any other questions on the game?
No, how long was my question? Component count.
There are 86 letter tiles. There are 4 of these wrestler tokens, which are double-sided, and I'm thinking they should probably have some heft to them. There are these 4 block tokens, which are sort of thinner versions of the wrestler tokens. There's the game board, of course. There are 4 letter racks for convenience, so players have somewhere to place their letters. And that's pretty much it.
Are you envisioning that what you have here, how it would look with these player cards along the side? I can't really read them, but is this basically explaining all the things you can do?
Yeah, this is more for convenience in Tabletop Simulator. I was thinking of just having a single reference sheet
Sure.
for players. Also, there's a drawbag. I forgot to mention that.
So my immediate thought when this pitch started was I don't like sport, just to make a very broad statement.
Sure.
And so this might be a slightly demeaning attitude, but I'm not sure how much overlap there is between like wrestling fans and word game fans. I'm sure there is some overlap, but I don't immediately go like, man, after the wrestling, we should sit down and play a game of Scrabble. Like that's my ideal evening. I don't know who that audience is. Having said that, I think that there is something very cool about this combination of tactical. So basically, Scrabble is the most famous word game, and it is in fact a word and area control game. And I feel like the use of genre plus word game is really underutilized. I think this does a great job of being like, oh, it's a tactical movement and a word game. That's really cool. Like that immediately gets my interest.
Yeah,
I would definitely. Sorry, Heather, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I agree on that completely because I'm like, oh, that's an interesting movement. But I will say, again, just for your own, for the pitch later to anyone else, it was very unclear how the game worked at all. I really wasn't understanding because you just said, well, what if they did this and what if they moved this? I understood that they would move around and make the words. But again, a word game audience and potentially a light sports wrestling fan audience might not be up for learning a lot of rules. If the game's only 20 minutes, you should be able to tell me in like one sentence how a turn moves, and I shouldn't have too many questions. I'm sure that people always will, but that was my concern was, does it seem like it's too much to that audience?
Okay.
Yeah. Like, can you actually explain how a turn would go?
Sure. Yeah. So at the start of your turn, you remove your block token from the board. This is a token that you can place to block opponent's movement. Okay. Then you spell a word. So, for example, let's say faint, F-A-I-N-T. You move across the letters spelling that word. Mm-hmm. As you move, you can execute attacks. For example, moving directly toward your opponent would shove them. But in this case, I can't do that because that would stop me from spelling the word. But I could do clothesline attacks by moving alongside them, for example. After you've finished moving, you can place your block token on an adjacent spot. And you remove letters when you land on them or when the block lands on them. And then you are rewarded according to the momentum track, depending on the length of the word you spelled and whether you made any attacks. So the reward is you get to draw letters from the bag to refill your hand.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks.
Any final thoughts?
Molly?
How do you know to not bump them? I guess I would worry that it's a rule that's like normally you bump them, except when you don't want to bump them because you want to be able to spell the word. That
exact same thing.
Like that, I just like lose me completely.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you bump them and push them back, then they're covering up the letter that you need to spell the word.
Sure, but so
no, we understand practically.
Sorry, Peter.
Sorry, Molly. Go ahead.
I just wonder if it's what the rule is, then it's an exception if you don't want to.
You're allowed to choose not to make an attack. Attacks are optional.
So I think what Molly's trying to say is that I think this is a really good simple premise, but the actual execution seems to have these layers of complexity that are not apparent. And this is also speaking to what Heather was saying earlier, where like you've got a great central idea, and now there's just a lot on it. So,
yeah, and I agree. I think it seems like a fun concept, and even though I'm not a wrestling fan, but I am a sports fan, and I like the idea of there being real competition in there. But Right off the bat, the very first examples you gave, I was confused, and I think maybe having all these little clunky extra rules, you might just want to look about how maybe they're not actually that clunky, but they seem clunky in a pitch. And if it's a late 20-minute game, that's not necessarily the kind of thing that people are looking for, and it might be a hard selling point for that publisher if they're looking for that late 20-minute game. That's all I want you to think about that a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
I know we're almost out of time. I just want to quickly say two things. I would consider some kind of animal theme, maybe. I feel like there's something to do with animals and moving around that would really match this a lot better. Heather's absolutely right. If you can strip it right down. And also, I don't know, I'm looking at these components and being like, for a 20-minute game, there's a lot here. Like this is going to be what, 30, maybe $30, probably closer to $35, $40. And getting people to pay that for a $20 game is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. Agree.
All of the above. Exactly my thoughts.
Agree.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Ananda, and thank you all the publishers. We're gonna move on to the next one, if I could figure out how.
Great core mechanical hook, though. Like, I immediately hear tactical movement on a hex grid, word spelling. I'm like, yes, I want to play this. I think that there's really something there. So definitely don't abandon it or anything like that.
So we also have Odin of Inkwell Games. You can give like one sentence on you.
Hi.
I co-own Inkwell Games. We publish exclusively rolling rights. Just came out with Dice and Ink. It's an anthology. You might have heard of it. You might not have.
Okay, and the game or the person is Stevenson Streeper, and he has his game Bajillions. You have 3 minutes.
All right, so thank you all so much. So my game is called Bajillions. It is a trivia game, party trivia game about giant numbers, and it all revolves around a very simple question: which number is bigger? So in this case, let me go ahead and ask, what's more, all the pennies the U.S. minted in 2019, or the total value of all Bitcoins in the world at its peak in U.S. dollars? Players will then bet on which of these numbers they think is bigger and by how much, whether it be by 1x, 2x, 10, 100, or 1,000. When out of pure curiosity, does anybody want to give any bets on this?
I will say that the bottom one is bigger by thousands.
Okay. Bigger by thousands. Anybody
I'll
else?
say, bigger by, oh no, million, sure.
I think thousands is as high as it goes.
Yes.
Took that, Carla.
Okay, so hundreds, fine. I think it's still bigger, so just different than Peter.
Okay.
I like how Carla is blue and I'm not. That's a bold choice.
I have no idea what your color preferences are, and I don't have time to ask.
Yes, I'm very subtle about it.
I'll just say it's twice as many Bitcoins as pennies, just for interest's sake here.
Okay.
All right. And then just for the example, I'll say that there's more pennies, even though I don't know that that's true. I guess I'll say 2 times or 10 times.
You'll be the dark horse, so that you'll
Sure.
get all the points.
I like it. I like you. You offer contrary examples. All right. So
Yeah, you need an example.
number of pennies, 7 billion pennies. Bitcoins, 326 billion, which means
Carla got it.
10x is the best you can do. Because 100x would mean that it's 700 times as much, 700 billion, which means that these guys are too high and wrong. This pays out because you paid on the 2x, you get 2 points. Here you go. Aren't you happy? And that is 1 round over. Take a giggle at the fun facts on the back. Whoop, and we ask the next question. There we go. And so on and so forth. That is basically the entire game. It runs smoothly for between 3 to 16 or more players, but I recommend putting in enough pieces for 10.
And player time?
Player time is generally somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 to 25 minutes, unless you're playing with your players.
Are there rounds, or is it just kind of when someone hits a certain number of points is the end of the game?
So so the game is over when one player earns 3 mega points, and I didn't get into that because it's a bit too because I ran out of time 30 seconds ago.
So I didn't catch your name. Sorry, what was your name?
Stevenson.
Stevenson. Your name is Stevenson?
Stevenson Anthony Streeper. Pleasure.
Wow, what a name. Amazing. So, Stevenson, I'm going to say this not to you, but partially to you, but also to any future pitchers who are listening. Starting with the hook is great. We really want to hear the hook. We also want to know player count, how much time, and components. Like components we can kind of see, but play it, especially game time. Like if you'd said this is a 4-minute game versus a 2-hour game, those are two different things. So you've really done a good job of selling us the pitch, but for you and anyone else who's about to come on, please just let us know how long it runs for and how many players. We need to know that information as early as possible.
Of course.
Where'd you get your information from? Just Wikipedia or?
Extensive research.
Okay.
None of these have Wikipedia as a source.
I'm kidding. I just
Oh boy.
Curiosity.
No, each card took multiple hours to research, and there are 80 of them. 80.
Does this function like wits to wagers, where you can wager more money so that you're building a bigger pot as the?
Haha, you have touched upon another mechanic. Yes, so there are two complications that make this game a little bit more complicated than Wits and Wagers, and a bit more tactical, and gives a nicer arc to the game, so that you can't just have a runaway winner. Then that is that when you earn points, if you're not in first place, you can decide to risk any number of points under your chip in order to go for double or nothing. If you are at least somewhat correct, then you'll get your money back. But if you are exactly correct, for instance, for that last one, if you were on, this player was the most correct last time, so they would have gotten double back. They get double back, basically, which is nice. Also, these points don't win you the game. What wins you the game are these mega points. You get a mega point by risking 6 points. And if you are correct, then you can trade it in for a mega point. If you can successfully risk 3 mega points, you have won the game.
So I'm sure I'm not going to be alone when I say I saw this pitch and I immediately thought Timeline, Wits and Wagers. Like those two games immediately spring to mind. So if you're not familiar with them, definitely become familiar with them. But from a product point of view, I just don't think anyone is like, I want a more complicated Wits and Wagers. Like Wits and Wagers does what it does so well, so successfully, so perfectly, that the gamer market like Wits and Wagers just as much as the hobby market. No one is like, I like Wits and Wagers, but I just wish it had more rules. I just don't. I'm just worried that market doesn't exist. I think the facts are cool. I think you got some cool stuff, but that's my product concern. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one of the things I was curious about with the types of categories are they all very similar to what you showed us, or do they have like some quote unquote funny things and silly things to make it maybe differentiate from Wits and Wagers, which is more factual? Or is it pretty much all factual type stuff?
The one that was on top of one deck I saw was the payload of the Saturn V in squirrels, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah, okay. Because I'm going to say that could differentiate it possibly, if at least, even though it's complicated, if it's kind of, a bit, the name Bajillions to me makes it sound like a funny, fun game. And if it's more like even though we know they'll never know the right answer, if it's something that people feel that they feel stupid, that they might not like playing it. That's my concern too, because it seems like it's this funny game based off how you presented it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah,
So
like, no one likes feeling dumb.
I would bump the silly factor for sure. If you want to differentiate from Wits and Wagers, bump that silly factor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I would say the thing that will make me feel dumb immediately is figuring out the number of times bigger to figure out.
Yeah, I made that note too. I was expecting it to be orders of magnitude, not literally like when it came up as like 1 and when it came up as 7, the answer was 300. I was like, oh, so it's hundreds. No, it was actually not hundreds, because it's not literally. I would just be like columns. Like it's 2 columns to the left. It's 2 orders of magnitude larger, even if it's not literally 10 times bigger. I think that I think Molly's spot on with that.
Or even like plus or minus, like plus 1 million, plus 1,000, plus 100, because I honestly think, even though people could understand this math if we took the time to explain it, people don't at sight, and even when we were looking at it too, we were thinking of it in a different way by the 1x, 2x.
Yeah, I can tell you the audience for this is the Wits and Wages audience, very much so. And I think that as Odin and Heather said earlier, like Bajillions is a silly number, so make it a silly game. But then that scoring system you explained, people are going to immediately throw it out. Like anyone who opens this game and is like, I'm going to play this with my grandparents, is going to be like, I don't understand this. Let's just use the funny cards and play the funny game, and they're literally going to completely go.
I should mention that that does have a simple rule variant.
Right, I'm saying that should not be a variant. That should be the rule.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Stevenson. And we'll go to the next person, who I know for sure is Connor. Okay.
Yeah, Carla, I will talk for as long as you'll let me, just so you know. So.
Okay,
Hey, Connor.
and Connor, do you have something to share?
Do you have a cool background? The answer is yes.
Okay. Your device is not connected yet. So this is Connor Wake. He is from, I don't know, somewhere in California. I'm bad at introductions. I'm just doing this because he's getting ready. This is on Twitch. Oh, Connor is still muted.
Molly, you should give feedback first, because otherwise I fear that the rest of us will not let you.
Okay, I'll muscle in. But I have to say, I have been 100% agreeing. So there's that. I don't feel like my thoughts are being lost.
Next time I'll be more controversial.
Channeled through Heather and Peter in particular. Yeah.
Same wavelength.
Yeah.
I'll be like, needs fewer cats, and you'll be like, no, I have opinions on this. Connor, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. I'm just waiting for my screen share to show
Great,
up.
yeah, we can hear you. Good.
Awesome.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Hi, I'm Connor.
Hello.
I'm from the Bay Area. And my game, whenever it appears on the screen, is Hedge Maze.
Hey, Carla, we missed you.
Yeah, something happened. Connor, your device is still not connected. Oh, you have 2 devices. Okay, that's
I got 2. Yeah, my microphone wasn't
There we
working on
go.
the other thing. Cool. Okay. So
Oh, look, Omino's. No.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh,
It's gone.
what happened to it?
It was there.
I'm sorry.
Oh gosh, hang on. Oh, I got booted.
I tried to boot the other one. I don't know what.
Okay.
happened. Both need to be in here, I guess. I'm sorry, everyone.
Where are you based,
for-
Odin? Where do you live?
Me? Sorry.
Yes.
I'm.
No, the other Odin in the
yeah,
chat.
I know. Well, Valhalla.
There's
all
so
right.
many.
Valhalla.
Okay? Sometimes I visit
Okay.
Olympus to yak with Zeus.
Cool.
Okay, Connor and Hedge Mazes. This is gonna work. It's fine.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, this is my game, Hedge Mazes. It's for 2 players, takes about 45 minutes. It's a polyomino tile laying game. Basically, you are a person who has a garden that for some reason has a bunch of gems in it. So does your neighbor though. And what you're going to be doing is trying to stop them from stealing your gems from your garden, because you're trying to do the same thing to them. And you're going to be doing that by building a hedge maze around all of the gems in your garden. So turns are pretty simple. What you do is each person will draft one of these tiles from the center and put it on their board. So the key thing here is you're not trying to fit the tiles together like most polyomino games. You're actually trying to leave spaces in between because you still want to be able to walk around your garden. So you'll place your tiles like so, and then your opponent might do that. And then based on how many flowers are covered in the rows and columns of that tile, you get to move around on your opponent's board. And basically, you are just moving your little meeples around, trying to steal the gems. And that's basically the game. Whoever escapes with both of their meeples first will end the game and get a lot more points. Or once both players can no longer place any more tiles, the game will end, and whoever's got the most gems and has built the nicest maze wins. So,
I'm going to sound like a broken record here. Player count, runtime, components?
Oh, yeah. 2 players, about 45 minutes. And about 30 polyomino tiles, 2 boards, a couple, like 30 gem tokens, and some meeples.
You say 630 gem tokens?
30.
30.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
The entire field of gems, Peter.
I was trying to do math in my head.
Molly, I want to hear your thoughts.
I want to know. So those little beacons are the gems?
Yeah, tabletop simulators. Not the
No.
best.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
And so you have a player on each. You have you're a player on your own board, and you have a meeple on the other board.
So your meeples are on your opponent's board, and your
You have 2
opponent's
meeples.
meeples on yours. So you got 2 people running around on your opponent's board.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of interested. This is certainly one I would want to see in action, or I would want to try. I need a second to process this.
Sorry, Molly, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I have a couple questions. So
Yeah.
the meeples, your meeples are on the opponent's board. Only you can move them, I assume, right?
Yeah.
So if my opponent is to the right hand side of us, which is where the blue is, and they're putting down their hedges, they can't put it where I'm standing, I assume.
Correct. Yeah. So you can kind of get in the way of them.
And you can enter and leave from any gate. Are there 4 gates? It looks like.
Only the open gates, and once
Okay,
you
it's hard to see that. Okay, that's an open
yeah,
gate.
sorry. And then once you go through a gate, that gate closes. So each meeple has to exit through a different exit.
Oh, they both have to go out of a different exit. I gotcha. Okay.
But you want to grab those gems. So that one. So up that green meeple. That's me. I want to somehow place enough hedges that get me three, and then knowing I have 6 more to get out of there, because I'm going to have to spend 3 to get in there and grab the gem, and then 3 to get out, presumably before somebody blocks me, before I get blocked.
Yep.
That how it's working?
Yeah, basically. The exact way it works is if you place this here, there's 1, 2, and then a lot of flowers all in the same rows and columns as the piece you placed. So if you put them in the right spot, you can get more movement, but that might not be the best spot to block your opponent.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What are players' reactions to it?
Great question.
Yeah, they enjoy it. I mean, I'm still in the playtesting phase, and it's changed a bunch, but people really like making mazes. It's just one thing. They like the different polyomino aspect of, like, trying to fit things together, so it's a different polyomino puzzle than you usually see. And there's a lot of little, like, should I go for that other gem, or is it time to just book it out before the other person starts getting more points than me? So it's fun, like, back and forth tension.
So I was going to say, visually, this is great. Like, polyominoes as a hedge maze just looks incredible. I'm immediately like, I want to play. Like, it's got that appeal of, like, I want to make a maze. Like, I've never thought of using polyominoes to make a maze. I immediately want to do it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Get a little cottage garden and a little clank together. It's
Yeah. The mechanically, I think that's a good difference to polyominoes, but not just trying to cover the board, which has been done now many times, and it's very effective. But something else is nice. I also like that it doesn't look like it's a like point salad. It looks like it's you got this very clear objective. You want to get these points. You know how you do it. I'm a little worried that it's going to be flat, and I'd have to play it to be sure. But it just seems like it looks like it's going to be very all or nothing. Like, I got the gems, or nope, I didn't get the gems, and how much wiggle room there is in between. Obviously, I haven't played it, but just from seeing it, I'm like, I'm not sure how that's gonna play.
The movement system kind of helps with that, because it's like it ramps up more and more as you go. But sometimes you kind of have to sacrifice where you're putting a tile to, like, not get as much movement. That does help, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Any final thoughts?
Or
Do
you
I
think,
spot an accent?
Yeah, I'm from England originally.
Ah, gotcha. I was like, it's not Australian. That's what was confusing me.
I've been here a while, so it's
have you had it, Connor? Have you had any ideas?
Mid-Atlantic. Good and mid-Atlantic.
Yeah. Have you had any ideas about adding in any like player abilities or anything else? The only thing I'm thinking is I don't know if it needs it, but like you said, it's pretty balanced. It's pretty much if you learn how to play this game, it might be on something you don't want to play a whole bunch more. I don't know. I haven't played it, but I can see being concerned.
Yeah.
I don't know if it
no,
is.
that's totally fair. I think I just haven't hit that point in the development yet.
Sure.
My first thought was the classic event deck, like a weather deck or something.
Yeah. Rose garden, rose bush, or something. Just little cute little things on the tiles could be interesting too.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
not all green. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
It looks very cool though. I'd definitely play this. I'll tell
Yeah,
you
me
that.
too. I like it right off the bat.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
We are going to get Connor out.
Bye.
And
Well, you got the boot function down, Carla.
I mean, I'm getting a little better. I just need to know, like, don't boot people that I want to get in. Like, I need to be better at the whole getting people in thing.
Have you watched, oh, now I'm totally, Graham Norton and the Red Chair? That's what I feel like we're doing to people. Like, bye. This story isn't great enough. See you later. Bye.
So the next person is Corey. I can't say his last name, but
Andalora.
his game name is Mission Control.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. All right. So Mission Control is, whoa, hang on. Mission Control is a cooperative, asymmetric, real-time game with elements of polyominoes and roll and write. So let me put it into view here. Oops, move myself.
Oh no, he's flying. We lost him. Corey, come
Get out
back.
of the way. All right, so here it is. So you're a team, and you're trying to.
Carla, can you make that big?
Can you see this? I'll move things to the camera.
Yes.
But as a team, you're trying to restore oxygen in an astronaut's shuttle so that he will survive the mission. It's based on actual events of Apollo 13, where they had to fit two systems that didn't work together, a square with a triangular shaped system to get their oxygen back so that they could survive the trip back. And so to do that, the astronauts going to be placing these polyominoes, you'll see there's little tubing on them, in ways that create routes from edges of the board. And they have to match the different color of the dice. So red to red, yellow to yellow, and so on. And even after that happens, there's certain, on the route, you'll see there's these lithium hydroxide capsules. So enough of those capsules have to exist in routes for the oxygen to be restored. And it has to be 8 of them. And it can be done through a single long route or multiple small routes. The way that happens is through these polyominoes, as I mentioned, but the team of Mission Control is going to help him. So on our turn, 3 dice are rolled, and the Mission Control combines to pick which 2 values to lock in. So in this case, 2, 5, 5. Let's say they choose 2 and 5, lock them in, and on their individual asymmetric boards, we have Houston, Orlando, and Washington. They're going to fill in those numbers. And depending on who you are, different things happen. So let's say you're Houston, you're trying to create the polyomino shapes. And when a shape is created, it unlocks another one of those tiles. So the L would unlock an L that the astronaut can start using. Unlike other polyomino games, they can be moved as much as he wants, or she, but they can't just go across the edges. Washington is going to be filling in these algorithms. So the numbers go in. So let's say 2, you cross out that many circles. When all of the circles are crossed out, you cross out a circle at the bottom, and it's hard to see here, but anytime a lock is reached, an unlock card is revealed. And the astronaut, for every one of these, can now move that die freely to make that route easier. Lastly, we have Orlando, which is just basically Sudoku. And Sudoku allows, when any of those are filled in, a cube comes out, because some of the polyominoes, such as this one, you need to place a black cube on the valve to unlock that route.
Well, I really appreciated you having this camera because, like, if you did not have the camera and all the things going on, I would be completely lost.
So, and I forgot to mention, it's a 20-minute interval. If they get the capsules in time, they win. If time runs out, unfortunately, the astronaut doesn't make it.
All right,
Okay,
I'm gonna pull up
feedback.
Peter Hayward and say, what's the component count?
So it's actually not as many as it probably looks. There's 4 D8s, 4 D6s, 4 colored D6s, 3 black D6s, 30 polyominoes, and only I think like 12 cards.
So
Plus
I'm going to give
piece,
some.
right?
8. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give some pitching advice, which is if your game has multiple different subsystems like this, it's probably not a great idea to try to explain them all because we kind of get like an overview of everything and an understanding of nothing. So
Yeah.
this to me feels like an experience that you're trying to sell here. So describe the experience, then maybe give an example. So like in this, it's a completely asymmetrical co-op game where everyone's trying to do their own thing. For example, one player is playing Sudoku with a roll and write. Cool.
Yeah.
And then even like a second person is playing a polyomino puzzle. Great. I now have an idea of what you're talking about. The specifics of every single system, it feels, less is more. You're giving us so much that we're actually getting nothing.
I agree, because I was going to say what I'm thinking of Captain Sonar and other games with this that could be really cool, and I like a lot of the ideas that you're talking about, but I can see someone blanking out 30 seconds into this and just getting overwhelmed. So let them ask you for more after the 3 minutes. So do a real little bit, just get them hooked on how cool it is, and then be like, what are the other things that the other players do? Then you tell them. And
ideally like single sentence pitches of each.
Yep.
One of the things I should just say, I'm sure everybody knows this, but just in general is, the game market is just insane right now. I mean, there's just so many games that you're going up against. So that 3 minutes might be all. They might say, no, thanks, we're good. And they never get to hear the deeper things in the game. So
you might want to frame it around an escape room where everyone, if you get a good team, you have a team who has different skills and different skill sets, and people can be working on a thing that they really enjoy, a type of puzzle that they really enjoy.
I would probably look up Captain Sonar and just see how reviewers pitch that in like the first few sentences, because that seems like the most similar game. And I guarantee they don't go through every system in detail. The other thing I'm going to say is, again, just slight pitching advice. Designers are always correctly told don't spend too much time on your prototype. When you get to the stage of pitching to publishers, I think just a little bit more would have helped here, because right now it looks like grids of white paper with black on them. And mechanically, we're all experienced enough to know what that is, but just a little bit of flavor would have gotten me, like, honestly, and I don't actually want to know, I don't remember what the theme of this game is at all. Like, you told us, and I remember it being interested, but then as soon as I saw grids of white paper, I was like, oh, it's a game with no theme. This is all very harsh, but just for the sake of especially people watching, like, when you're pitching, it's all about the sizzle.
Yeah, you gotta draw me in, not explain it all. You want me asking the question.
I told Carla going in I was going to be very blunt, so I hope that she warned the designers of that as well. Having said that, I think that this idea of a completely asymmetrical co-op, sort of like Spirit Island meets Captain Sonar, I think that's very interesting. And I remember now the theme is Apollo 13, which is an amazing theme. So I think there's something here, but from this pitch, I don't know what is here is really the issue.
Yeah, I had a couple things just like I can see many people playing this game, and I love the idea that each person's doing different things and it's feeding some other benefit to somebody else. I love that. And that's something I think really push how interactive it is, not just the co-op. Like, we're all helping each other and using our skills. I really thought that was cool.
Okay, final thoughts? Or was that it?
Keep going.
Okay.
Definitely keep going.
Thank you so much, Corey. You did great. And now we are going to Caleb. Caleb has a game here.
I know of exactly one co-op roll and write.
This is a Ballerina Battle Arena.
Yeah, so hopefully you're all interested with just the title. I'm going to do a screen share video. So when I start the video, if you do not hear volume from the video, just give me a high-pitched shriek, and then I'll pivot.
Odin, that's on you. We're assigning you as shrieker.
Okay, well, I can't hear your speaker. So share screen.
I feel like Caleb may already have a publisher. This
So
Oh. I pitched to him a lot, and I'm a local ambassador. It's a board game shirt. Here we go. So here's the video. I want to hear those shrieks if needed. So. Ballerina Battle Arena is a competitive real-time game with a simple and unique combat mechanism. It ranges from 30 to 45 minutes and is able to play between 2 to 4 players. Each player is the head of a ballerina dance troupe poised for combat. The object of the game is to have the most dancers promoted to prima ballerina and crush your foes who are trying to do the same. The round starts with all players giving their best ballerina impression to prove that everyone is ready for combat. Your bag contains your dance troupe.
Oh.
You lost it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we can add both the video and
we can't hear it now as well.
Okay.
Also, I'll just say that I don't want to sit down with someone and then be shown a video. Like I'm in a room with a person, virtually in this case, but like you, Caleb, are a beautiful human creature who I want to interact with. I don't want you to show me. Here's what I prepared earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. It was going to be a combination of the two. I'm trying to stop sharing the screen now so I can, like I said, pivot and do the
We
rest.
can't see it, but I don't know.
We never saw the screen.
We couldn't
Just
see.
go straight into your regular pitch and.
Okay. So, and it's on YouTube for those who want to follow up. So Ballerina Battle Arena is a 30 to 45 minute, 2 to 4 player game with a real-time combat phase I have never seen another game, and I was excited to show people. At the beginning of each round, every player puts their hands above their head to show that they're not cheating and already digging into their bag, because this is a light bag builder similar to Quacks at Quindenberg. And on 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, whatever you want, you immediately draw chips from the bag, your dancers, as fast as you can, and place them on these different acts. There's a bust mechanic of black swans that works similar to cherry bomb. So there's a certain stage that you want to stop pulling from the bag. When all players lock in, the first players that lock in get an advantage, so that does some time elements with there. But when all players are done, they raise their little protective screen, which is a little curtain to reveal who did the best performance. And when I was talking about the combat mechanism, so each chit dancer looks like this. This isn't a nutcracker, for example. This would be placed on one of the acts. And when you check combat, it's as easy as counting how many stars are in a single act. So right now I have 2 stars in Act 1 because the nutcracker is 2 stars. Your goal is, when we start comparing different people's acts to each other, you want, as the number shows here, you want 5 more stars than any other player to win the entire round. If you do that, Act 1 is counted first. If you do that, Act 2 and Act 3 are completely ignored. You have wowed the crowd, you've turned all the heads, you've dominated the thing. It's really hard to do to have 5 more stars than somebody else. But if you do that, you won, you get the prima for that round. The goal of the game is to get the most primas at the end of the game. If nobody has at least 5 more than an opponent, even if you have more than an opponent, if it's not at least 5, you go on to the next thing. The next thing is 3. The last thing is 1. As you go down on different acts, the further down on acts you win, the rewards get bigger and bigger. And as far as components, I also posted a sell sheet to that little spreadsheet. And but I'll read some of the stuff to you. And I want you to know that most of these things are modular. Take as much or virtually as little of it as you want. But what I'm currently doing is 58 poker-sized card, 4 ready, 3 ready tokens, 4 screen curtains that lift, 7 different stage boards, 4 for the players, 3 for reference, up to 100 dancer chits, and 4 cloth bags. Because of the way that
that's what, like $45, $40.
I'm shooting for kind of a 35 target, but that's kind of up to publisher.
Maybe 35.
Yeah.
Depends on what the boards are, I suppose.
And if the screens are just like thin cardboard, not thick like that, maybe possibly just like a card material. Okay.
That's my prototype.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 boards is what makes me think, oh, that's a lot. But are we talking like shit? It doesn't matter too much. Oh, okay, gotcha.
What was the player count again?
2 to 4.
2 to 4. I'm working on 5. I'm not there yet.
Why ballerinas in combat?
Yeah, that was my first question too.
Somebody mentioned Battle Arena, and what I heard was ballerina, and I'm thinking that it's an absolute shame that the world does not have a ballerina Battle Arena game. So I honestly built the entire game around that name and tried to use some mechanics that I've wanted to use for a long time.
This is kind of the same.
What?
I would call it
Sorry,
ballerina.
Carla, what are you saying?
Ballerina, ARENA. Then.
I have heard that as well. People seem to be pretty split on it.
I think that would be cute, yeah.
and I'm open to it.
So I'm not sure how many people enjoy combat and ballerinas. Like I'm sure like there's a lot of people that enjoy combat and a lot of people that enjoy ballerinas, but I'm not sure the overlap.
It's the same as the word wrestling game. The overlap is very weird. As well as that, and maybe this is just me being a stick in the mud, I don't think there's ever been a successful dancing board game. Like maybe you'll be the first, but like, sorry, was that?
There's one that just came out about like getting asked to dance at like a school dance or something. Dance card. That dance card, yeah. I was gonna say it really wasn't a theme that you saw before at all, really. So I mean, I think it's just starting to be a theme. I mean, I appreciate that it's a different theme and not the same old thing. And I kind of think it's cute if you play on wordplay and then you play on the look of the character and it's like a ballerina, but she's in like battle armor or something like that. I don't know if that's what you were envisioning, but that's kind of what I'm envisioning. So that you pull from both. So you're pulling the fighter type of fan that thinks that they look cool and they just happen to be that they're dance fighting, basically. Yeah.
What's the fun new mechanic that I'm doing when I'm playing this game?
So the combat of as soon as somebody has more than another person, the entire round is over and you get points. The closest thing I've ever seen to that is Rising Sun, and this takes it, not only makes it more simple, but makes it the forefront and goes a lot deeper onto that.
And this is real time, right?
So the placement of the dancers is real time. Everything else is not.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, Odin, go ahead.
If I didn't hear this, but I can keep pulling dancers until basically till I get a black swan, right? So
you get it in certain amount of black swans, yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So as a publisher, my immediate reaction is just like this feels like a kitchen sink game. I'm like, there's real time battle, dancing, racing, bag. Like I just don't know what the game is, and maybe the video would have helped with that. But like just to use Hedge Maze as an example, I'm like, oh, you're building Hedge Maze out of polyominoes. Cool. I know 100% of what I need to know to be invested in this pitch. With this one, I'm like, okay, the ballerina in battle gear. I'm like, that is a very cool image. I can definitely see that. What you're doing is just a big black box to me right now. So that's my immediate concern.
The other thing I was thinking is I don't think the ballerina fan audience is as big as the battle arena audience. So, I mean, I don't even know what a prima is, but I assume a prima is a thing from ballet. So it's something you might want to think about, this kind of stuff that people, you're trying to get them into the idea of ballet, but they might not have any idea what that is. So that might just be something to not pull the real words, just make it seem like it's a ballet thing. It might be a broader audience as well. So that's another thing to think about.
That's all.
There is room for some amazing puns in this, like the Nutcracker. I just realized how aggressive that is as a move.
Yeah, being totally on point. Yeah, I think that would be great. And also whether different ballerinas, a soloist or the core ballet core has more power than the prima. Anyway, there's like but
I think just based on the pun potential and the kind of inherent goofiness is I would strip the mechanics right back and almost go like flux level. Just be like, it's a ballerina battle game. You got cards with puns on them, play them. Like maybe not quite that far, but I wouldn't go too much further than that, because I don't think heavy gamers or even midweight gamers are going to be too excited about it. Whereas if you can be like ballerina battle arena, I can see the very, very casual market being like, that's funny. I will buy it because it's funny. I don't really want to think too hard.
Right. That audience has no idea what Quacks is. They have no idea what that game is. Even if they think that mechanic would be cool, they don't even know what that is. So this to me on theme sounds like it's going to a completely different market than maybe you're designing the game for.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Caleb. You did great. And the next person is Bill Lasik, with his game Light Speeders. You have 3 minutes.
Sure, thanks. Hey guys, my name is Bill Lassick. I'm really excited to tell you about Light Speeders. It is a 2 to 4 player battle racing game that plays in 10 to 30 minutes and is designed to capture the theme of Tron Light Cycles meets Mario Kart. So, in Light Speeders, players will have a set of 25 neon polyominoes in a rondelle in front of them. On their turn, they're going to place one polyomino onto a grid board, connecting to their previous polyomino, creating a light trail. The goal of the game is to create a light trail that prevents any other players from being able to fit any more of their polyominoes onto the grid. Whoever does this wins the battle race. Now, to make the races really interesting, just like an old 80s arcade game, the board is looped. So you can head out one side of the board and come in on the other, or go off the top and come in on the bottom, allowing yourselves to get out of some really interesting situations and also put your opponents into them. But rather than just encourage people to go out and do this looping mechanic, I put power-ups in the center of the board to encourage people to go into the center of the board where it's a lot more dangerous and things can get a lot more dicey. As players drive over these power-up cubes, they'll gain access to stronger and stronger abilities, which are critical tools in winning the game. These are things like being able to do jumps or place extra polyominoes on their turn. Also, while someone's playing their turn, they only have access to 2 choices in front of them, one of 2 polyominoes. When they select that polyomino, they're going to place their speeder marker in its location, allowing them to only access the following 2 polyominoes on their next turn. This means players' turns are very, very fast. Choices are meaningful because what you play not only affects this turn, but you know how it's going to affect your options on your following turn. The thing that's really good about Light Speeders is it teaches in under 2 minutes, and a battle race plays in under 10. A normal game is played best 2 out of 3 battle races to the winner, and players that don't win in a battle race are gain power or get power-up advantages in the following race. So no one ever really feels like they're left out or behind. They always have even an extra advantage in the following race to win. What I'm really proud about is I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up with Tron. I love the light speeder concept. I love the old arcade game that I can't find anymore. This game, I believe, not only captures the theme and feel of creating those light racing trails, but adds to it with a power-up element, makes it a lot of fun in a small footprint and a fast time frame. That's Light Speeders.
Thanks.
That was a great pitch. I left that with a really clear idea of like what a turn looks like. The one thing that could have helped is visuals, but I understand that is potentially a restriction of the format rather than anything. But yeah, at the end of this, I'm like, okay, I could sit down and almost teach that game at this point.
Yeah, without visuals.
That was very, very compelling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Laser Riders, the Greater Than Games game?
I am. Nicole and Anthony are awesome people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Because that when you started, I was like, oh, another Tron game, because that one does exist. And that one does a lot of the same thing. I think that yours has enough differences, especially when you mentioned jumps. I was like, ooh, I want to see these jumps. But that was my first instinct. So just to make sure you're aware of it.
Yeah, there's definitely similarities in that it is a 2 to 4 player game and there's light trails, but after that, none of the mechanisms match over with their game. So, like I said, I'm friends with them, so I want to make sure my game did not step on their toes.
Now, a question for you: is it clear, the gamer market? This might be going to a 28-year-old or a 25-year-old that doesn't know anything about those video games. Mm-hmm. Is it intuitively clear that they can go around like that because they're not going to understand that that's a thing that even happens? I barely remember that, but I know what you're talking about. But that's not going to be an intuitive thought for a younger gamer at this point, especially going up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's written in the rules, and there's a graphic to help show that and convey that to someone that might be familiar with the old quarter eating mechanic. But yeah.
Well, overall, I really liked your pitch, and especially the last part where you did like kind of summary and the hook again, like the small footprint. Really great.
The one thing I wrote down was like, oh, 3 rounds, how does it escalate? And then your next sentence was explaining how it escalated, and I was like, perfect. Yep, that was an excellent pitch. I would quite happily play that prototype.
Awesome.
Yes, for a pitch without any visuals, you told a very good story and took us through it. So sometimes actually without the visual.
We have nothing useful for you, Bill.
Did I?
Okay.
Just to clarify though, everyone's playing on the same board?
Yes, everybody's playing on the same board. They each have their individual 25 polyominoes in front of them.
So there's
there
100 polyominoes.
100 polyominoes. There is a sell sheet on the link. It is a little wordier and is being edited, but I figured might as well have it than not have it.
And are you envisioning like one bigger board, like a normal, I don't know, 12-ish, like a large board, or just smaller? I don't know how big the board
The
is.
actual board is about
Like 12 inch, 10 inches.
It's about like 14 by 14, and it's double-sided. So in a 3 or 4 player game, they're using a full-size grid, and then in a 2-player game, they're using the other side to make sure that the stress level of placing these things in the challenge is there even in a 2-player game.
Okay. All right.
So probably 30, 35, maybe 40.
Yeah, at least 30. At least 30 sounds like, yeah.
Probably 35 plus or minus 5, depending on how the components are made.
Okay.
Yeah, if you, because it's 10 to 30, if you get it down to like 25, that would be the sweetest point. But with the mechanics you described, I don't really see how that's easy to do.
Right. It used to be 30 polyominoes, but I cut it down to 25. But yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Just overall, good job.
Yep, that was an excellent pitch.
All right.
Toss that component count in early on.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
So one important part of that is that his pitch was actually 2.5 minutes, and it was the best one so far. So you said more in less time, which is actually, the longer you talk, the more our attentions can get lost.
Exactly. I did not want to hit 3 minutes.
Good job.
So Sean Fenimore from the Mind Games is with Tiny Tanks.
Yes, sorry, I'm just trying to share the screen for my really bad images.
Tiny pigs?
Tiny tanks. Hopefully you can see it.
We cannot.
Okay, is this an Australian accent, or am I just going crazy here?
Canberra. Australian accent.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going there.
Okay. No,
Also,
I'm
you're
very early for this. And I don't have a neat background like everyone else because, it's my study. Hi, I'm Sean. My game is Tiny Tanks. It's a tank skirmish game that for 2 to 4 players plays 30 to 60 minutes, fits into a mint tin, has destructible terrain, basically just the cards that you flip over. So there's 4 tank chassis and 4 turrets to go with them, a D6, some tracking cubes, about 20 cards, and the measuring cards at the moment are cardstock, but I'm thinking I'll make them a bit thicker, chipboard or print. So basically, players can play till they meet the goals, whatever they want. They can play capture a point, they can play destroy all the tanks, whatever they want. And basically, it's to scratch that wargaming itch during lunch or something at work. You can just play on any flat surface and knock out a quick game and vent some frustration on your opponents. That's my very, very quick sell.
Cool. It's funny because this is also very, very similar to a game by Anthony Amato. It's an unpublished game, but
yeah.
Okay.
I suspect from it's not a published game, so there's no way you could have known about it from Canberra. But he's been pitching this one game for like 6 years now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just funny to have 2 back to back.
I would lead your pitch with, "Do you want to fit in a war game over lunch?" Like that should be the very first thing you say. "Hi, my name's Sean. This game is when you want to fit a war game in over lunch."
Yeah. To be honest, you start. Go ahead.
And then people know they're going to be like, "Nope, not my thing at all," or "Tell me more."
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, you started with the component.
Read from the back, right there.
I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry. The components, you started listing them, and you literally lost me. Like I just started. Okay. I went over to the spreadsheet to look at your write-up because I zoned out already that quick. So yeah, I think that's a great line because when you brought that up later, I was like, perfect. That's how you pitch this game.
Cool. Thank you.
I might be alone in this, but I see a game fitting in a mint tin is not a great thing because that game just has no retail presence. Like it might do well on Kickstarter, but
Yeah.
in an actual store, no one's going to see it.
And it's been
Yeah.
done, so now that's not novel anymore. So there's no need for it to. But if you're saying it's the size of a mint tin, it might as well just be a cardboard then, you know, or slightly larger. It's
Yeah.
still good to travel to take to work.
It definitely did a good job of us giving us the scale of the game, though. That was very effective because I'm like, okay, I can see these images are great, by the way. I'm really just going to give you a lot of the same notes I give Anthony whenever he pulls his game out. Is that this theme is very dry to me. I'm just like, I don't know why I care about. I guess I'm not a war gamer, so you're right. Leading with like, do you like war games? No, not really. But
no, I don't.
As like this feels like it's more mass than a war game. So tanks fighting is not really a theme to me. It's just like, are they on an alien planet? Are they, you know, fighting in space or through time or something like that? But tanks by themselves is almost a lack of theme.
Yep.
I agree. It's a little. I was thinking, and because it's tiny, something cute like a tiny bugs are fighting or animals. I would be much more drawn in. Of course, Peter and I also, and probably Molly, we really like animal games. So.
Yep.
So that just don't take that to heart. But that could be cute because it's a little different, and you're talking about how tiny it is. So, or you know, that could be really cute.
Yep. No, that's fine. I don't play war games.
I gotta echo Peter. I think, Sean, that trying to fit this into a mint tin is probably holding this game back a bit.
Okay.
It's bigger than this seems to me, and you might want to punch it up. Like, I agree that the fitting it into lunch is good, but you don't have to make it fit into a mint tin to do that. You know, I still like crunchy components and things like that, especially for a war game.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Yeah, that's true.
Minimalistic war game is a good pitch. I just feel like it needs just something to push it over the edge. Like, because minimalistic war game is make or break, as I think Molly or Heather said earlier. Whereas if it's like, oh, I don't care about that, then cool, you've lost me forever. But it was like, and with this unique whatever, then I'm like, oh, okay. Even though I don't like war games, this little, I don't know what that twist is, but just something a little bit more to push it over the edge would be really nice. Just some kind of mechanism. Again, this is almost like an unpitch. It's a war game, so if you either do or don't like war games, it's tanks fighting, so it's like, well, there's nothing really there to hook onto. The hook is minimalistic war game, but I feel like it almost needs a second hook of like a minimalistic war game where you're also trading with your opponent or something. Like, not that, that's obviously a terrible example, but just something additional to push it over the edge for me is what this needs.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Just a small note: fire ants can throw their venom.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I love ants. I'm totally obsessed with ants.
Okay. On that
well, this
note,
was just a challenge for me, so I'll see what I can do with the retheme. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Do it.
job.
Enjoy Canberra.
Next.
I used to live in Canberra. Fun fact.
Well, I've learned that you like ants, Snoopy, and you used to live in Canberra. So this has been very interesting for me.
And I've been to Minnesota Airport many times.
Okay. This is the stream of learning things about Peter. But next is Charlie Jackson with MacGyver. Use what you've got, survive or not.
Wow.
Hi everybody. Can you hear me okay?
We got layers.
Yes.
Yeah, infinite recursion. I already win, right? I mean,
like a thing.
Yeah.
that's like 50 videos
Inception,
in one.
the board
Do I
game.
automatically like this is published now, right? Like I'm just done.
You're done.
All right, awesome. So that was a great video. Thanks everybody for coming by, and I'll see you another time. Okay. My game is called MacGyver. Use what you've got, survive or not. And I have the best possible presentation that everybody loves. It's called PowerPoint. Welcome. My girl, who originally conceptualized this game, came up with a song for my pitch. If you've ever seen MacGruber, you may recognize the tune. I'm sorry in advance. Surviving the elements with simple accoutrements, MacGyver. Rescuing the citizens to our own detriment, MacGyver. These random scenarios are totally viable, McGyver. Because quicksand in a funhouse is definitely viable, McGyver. If you lack imagination, then the fun is contingent, McGyver. The song is just a parody, so there's no copyright infringement. Don't sue me. All right, McGyver, on a more serious note, is a 1+ player game that's best at 2 or 4 players or teams that runs 20 to 40 minutes depending on the player count and game mode. It's a combination of MacGyver and the word survival. For those not familiar with MacGyver, he's a brilliant but non-violent guy who can do absolutely anything with a Swiss Army knife, some chewing gum, and a paperclip. Now you get to be MacGyver, kinda, and survive challenging obstacles using items lying around your own house. In fact, that's how you start the game. You literally run around for 60 seconds and gather 10 items. Each player writes down what they've got, draws 3 cards, and does a quick pick one and pass the rest draft. Players then draw deadly obstacle cards and one at a time, hopefully overcome them, armed with their wits, creativity, and their 13 items. Look around your room and see what might be handy on an adventure. Some obstacles you face might include handling a bomb, taking out a drone, or even something like walking through a waterfall. The waterfall might not sound bad, but that much water could hurt or, wow, okay. Anyway, that much water might hurt or destroy some of your items, and it'll definitely extinguish anything you have that's on fire. But a waterfall is also an opportunity. Do you have anything that could be used as a container? Fill it up. It may come in handy for putting out fires or if you get thirsty. MacGyver is only as serious as players want it to be, meaning it's accessible to anyone with imagination. During the Let 'em Dare jam, people especially loved the cooperative mode. One player shared that they took apart sunglasses to unlock a door, and then used a metal fork to short-circuit a security camera. And if you're really being clever and need to deactivate a bomb, then maybe that random book you brought with you is actually a bomb defusal manual. Just don't go thinking you could use it as a sneak charming manual later. Other things like a flashlight can be far more handy than just as a light. After all, my flashlight has 2 batteries in it, a bulb, a reflector, and a spring. Sometimes the parts are more useful than the item. When competing, you get points for each item you use in a challenge. You'll want to find ways to combo as many items in a solution as you can. For example, if you need to distract a guard, you could just throw your bomb defusal manual and get their attention. But if you put some Altoids into a bottle of soda and then throw that, you'll get 2 points for using 2 items. You do have to be careful though, as you lose a point for each item that's lost or destroyed at the end of the game. There are numerous alternative modes as well, like endless pockets where you can lose points to draw additional items from the item deck if necessary. Another mode tasks one player each round to be a narrator, earning bonus points by explaining how and why you're all facing the next obstacle. Trust me, sometimes that's not easy. I'm in the process of fancying up the cards, but you can check the game out for free on itch.io. In fact, you can even play it as a video game on a spreadsheet. Thanks for your time.
So I'm going to jump in with some general pitch feedback. If you've got a 3-minute pitch, don't spend 40 seconds of it singing a song. If you are going to sing a song, don't start by pre-apologizing for singing a song, because you're basically saying, hey, sorry about this, and then doing a thing that just don't do any of that is my advice.
I honestly think there were too many examples.
I would
go ahead.
I was going to say, if just do a quick Google. I won't go into PowerPoint theory, though I could. It's a fascinating topic. But basically, Google how to do a good PowerPoint presentation, because if the words that you're saying are on the screen, then our mind is kind of torn between reading what you're saying, and it's just very confusing for the mind. Like, you want either dot points that you're expanding on, or images, or maybe words that you're not saying, but you definitely don't ever want to have the words that you are saying on the screen. It's just a big PowerPoint no.
Okay, good to know.
As for the actual game, I think here's a problem. Look around your actual physical room for stuff to solve it is an amazing pitch. I heard that and I was like, I have never seen anything like that. Like, I think that is actual gold. Like, draw a card that says you're stuck in an alien spaceship and you have to fight a Gargamoth, and all you have is what's around you. I'm immediately like, what do I have around me? I could smash this glass. I've got a steak knife over there. Like, there is something really, really like that is a central pitch. It's storytelling in a way I've never seen before. I see a lot of MacGyver pitches. I don't know if the other publishers will agree, but MacGyver as a as a party game is something that it seems every second designer is trying to crack, and this is an angle on it I've never seen before, and I've really liked.
And I think what you could do is, I mean, obviously people get MacGyver, or some people get MacGyver, but you don't even necessarily have to MacGyver theme this. It could just be solving problems with things around you. I think that might even be telling different stories. Now you're on an alien planet. Now you're here. Now you're here. So that there's different modules to play for different parties. Similar to what Peter said, the song, and then all the words and all the examples. Actually, I got like too much information, and I didn't need it because I understood what it was in the first minute. So you did a good job of telling us what it was, but then overdoing the examples to the point where I was like, okay, we don't need to hear any more examples. So that I would suggest keeping it real tight, and then let us ask more questions about what we can do with that, or what you were envisioning. That would be my suggestion. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Cool.
I would take out anything that's a reference to I'm gonna get better art for this, or anything like that. Just present what you've got. We as publishers understand that designers are designers. They're not manufacturing a product, they're designing a game. Our job is to manufacture the product. So don't apologize for any of that. But if you feel like it's inadequate, do work to make it better as you move on in your pitch journey.
Okay.
Agreed.
That's cool.
I would love to see, if you're going to have images, I would have images of people playing this game, or images of the types of things that people grab, because
that's a good idea.
We've ended on the potential new card layouts, so I'm spending time reading these and ending up being confused, because I was like, well, there's a card for paperclip, but what if a paperclip isn't the thing that I grabbed? And then I think, then my mind opens up to all the potential issues, which is like, are there enough cards for all the types of things people are grabbing? And then I'm left with a situation where I'm confused.
Okay, that was my mistake. The item cards are extra items. They're I put a paperclip here in as an example just because of the MacGyver thing, but I should have used something more like a flamethrower, or generally they're things that you don't normally have around your house. And these are little bonus items that you're given at the beginning of the game, in addition to your 10 items that are done through a draft, so that players get random other things throughout their game.
Just one more little bit of pitch advice. With a game like this that is so playable, I don't know if you're watching earlier, but Bajillions did a really good job of just being like, here's the game, what's your guesses? And I was like, oh, I'm playing this game. With this, you could literally just been like, hey guys, you're stuck in a sewer, look around your actual room right now, go. Because then we're immediately playing the game, we're invested. With a game like this where you can play it over Zoom with no physical components, I would lean toward, like, I don't know if you can see, but everyone is currently looking around their room being like, what would I use right now? That's us engaging in your game instead of listening to a PowerPoint presentation.
Well, and engagement is so
Or a
much
song.
more memorable than like a PowerPoint. Like if we, like after this, like if we had done that, I would remember, oh yeah, in the pitch thing, I grabbed like this empty Mountain Dew bottle, and like, you know, being memorable is kind of the point of a pitch.
I'm actually looking at an empty Mountain Dew bottle right now myself, so yeah, that would have been a great example.
But any final thoughts?
But I definitely think it's an interesting game idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Awesome.
Okay, great job, Charlie.
Thanks. I appreciate your time.
Next is David and Amelia.
Amelia.
With their game Chrono Coven.
Yes. So.
Yep. So Chrono Coven is a medium weight 2 to 4 player game that plays in about 45 minutes. Players play as time-traveling witches who are competing to become the head witch when the clock strikes midnight. To do this, players will gather ingredients, brew potions, cast spells, and travel back in time to rewrite their past.
Each game, players receive 2 player boards, a Triquetria board, which has all the recipes and potions available that players can brew during the game. These include basic and advanced potions. Players also have a timeline board. Players each turn will be playing actions from their hand of actions, face down on the hour that they're in, and then flipping it face up. And players also have a spell book that they can put spells into that they attain throughout the game.
So through the course of the game, players will be filling up their spell book with unique spells. And when they cast these spells, they can cast each of their own spells, as well as opponent spells if they pay them. This creates a unique spellbook combination for each game, as well as fosters positive player interaction.
Players each turn will also be learning new cards from the main Covenstead board. These cards will be new spells to put into their spell book, as well as stronger advanced actions of the basic actions they already hold, such as brewing potions or casting spells.
A unique mechanic of Chrono Coven is that at the end of each hour, players may choose to travel back in time by spending their Chrono Crystals. For each Chrono Crystal that they spend, they'll travel back 1 hour in time, which will involve taking cards off their timeline back into their hand, and then planning new cards up to the current hour. So traveling back in time will cause you to recover your actions, take extra actions, and potentially do things before your opponents to score more points.
Basically, in essence, rewriting your past and mechanically gaining more actions. Players will be able to keep track of where they are in time by the Cauldron Clock board. They move their meeple back to the hour that they moved back in time to, and will take their turns in that time order.
As players brew potions, they'll spend them to complete powerful invocations, which will gain them bonus effects, as well as score them points based on when in the game they played them, the early, mid, or late period. So your score will depend on how efficiently you can complete these and whether other players can complete them first.
These invocations will also provide unique special effects. Players will score at the end of the game based on masteries that they attain throughout the game. These masteries provide victory points for unique scoring strategies, and then the invocations, and based on when they scored these invocations, and as well as advanced brewed potions.
Overall, Chrono Coven provides a compelling medium-weight Euro experience in a short amount of time by efficiently using simultaneous play while maintaining rich player interaction.
Thank you for listening to our pitch.
I love the theme to this, like time-traveling witches, but I also love time travel.
Yes, the traveling through time was definitely...
I was immediately drawn in.
Yeah, time travel, that was like, leading with that is good. Simultaneous play, I think maybe should have been in the lead as well, because that really speeds up a game that might seem fiddly. So,
yeah, there's a lot of witch games. I thought that was kind of cool that it was a time traveling witch game, because there are a ton of games about witches, you know, so that kind of makes it different. And then if the simultaneous play would have been a good thing to mention right away too. Yep. Great.
And why not a time traveling game about time travelers? What's the witch hook?
We wanted a game that allowed kind of thematically completing something throughout. So we were first thinking like, you know, pizza orders, or like, you know, where you're completing pizza orders, but that's kind of led us to the witch theme rather than having that sort of theme. So with time traveling, you don't usually hire a time traveler, though that would also be a very unique, interesting theme now that you mention it.
I was going to say, of all the theme mashups we've seen, I feel like witch and time travel go together so nicely, because witches, magic, time travel can have a magic angle. Harry Potter did time traveling witches. I thought that was a really good combo. And like Heather said, witches, I'm like, there's a lot of witch game. Oh, I love time travel. Witch time travel, of course, that makes total sense. I really wanted to highlight I love this so much, the wooden spoon on the clock as the hand. Just that kind of little detail, that really gets me. I loved that. I thought that was so cute.
Yeah, we definitely enjoyed the components in this game.
Nice. I'm glad you know what the game is, because at first I thought you were going to say it was later, and then you said it was a medium weight Euro, and you showed it on TTS, and I'm like, okay, you know, it's not going to be a simple 10-minute game. So, you know, you're pitching to that type of audience, which
yeah,
great, yeah.
This is a game that before I could really assess it any further, I'd need to play it, but I would definitely want to play it. Like that pitch really made me be like, yes, I want to play this. I want to learn how all these things work better than I can from an overview. I want to see what the experience is like. That was very compelling to me.
Thanks.
I would build a little more story in, because I was like, oh, that's sort of an interesting idea, and the time travel and going back and redoing things. But then I got a bit lost in all of the like, and then there's these for this, and then there's these for this. I think more potential actions, or more like a story.
Yeah, it's funny, the heavier your game, the less detail you want to give, which sounds so counterintuitive. But if you can explain your entire game in 2 minutes, you want to do that. If you can't, you've really got to do a taster. You just got to be like, here's the main thing, which in this case was time travel, timeline. I got that. And then everything past that, I honestly didn't really follow. That's why I was like, I need to play it. but we don't need to. Like, we get that it's witches time traveling. You've got, and here's the time travel mechanic. Cool. That's all I need to know to want to play the game. And I thought you did a really good job of that particularly.
Yeah, I agree with that, like, all the way. Like, I think it was like the masteries part where it was like, oh, another card and another card, and like it was just like it was too much for my brain to comprehend. But yeah, like until then, it was like, oh yeah, I like it.
The Twitch chat says, "Which way to the future? Which way?"
Oh.
That's very cute.
So, any final feedback on that?
No, I would happily play that prototype. It had all the stuff that I want to play.
Well, we're happy to let you play it.
It's not a Jellybean game, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I second that. I'd like to play it, but I love time travel. So great job, both of you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Oh, and good job switching between the two of you at a like kind of regular thing. So
yeah,
Thank you so much.
that was a good example of how a two-person pitch should go.
Agreed.
Thank you. Bye.
Next up, and last but not least, Charlie McCarran, and he has a game that's called Dragon Insurance.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking around for the last pitch here. I will share the whole screen, I think. When I can.
Are you the four humors, Charlie McCarran?
I am, yep. So that was in...
Oh, rock on. That,
yeah, yep. Cardboard Edison last year, and yeah.
Oh yeah, I played with Peter.
Oh, shoot. Okay, let's see. Carla, do you know the share
I follow
button?
Charlie on Twitter, so I'm immediately biased, just so you know.
Carla, the share button is grayed out. Do you know?
I'm not sure why. Usually it appears like you share and then I share it up there.
Let me see what I can do. Shoot.
I like how Odin's outside, like an actual human. It's great.
The internet is glitchy in my house, so I got to go in my backyard to make sure that I don't glitch out. But it's kind of nice. It makes me go outside, which is...
Yeah, you got a nice backdrop.
Oh, can I do it?
Yes. I thought you were going to say, the internet in my house is glitchy, so I have to go outside to steal my neighbor's internet.
Well, I technically am. It's just that it's my mother-in-law.
Okay, let's see. If I can make Tabletop Simulator not full screen, does anyone know how to do that real quick?
Oh.
It's in options in the top right. Yeah. No, there's a full screen toggle.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Just this. Maybe I can share. Hey. Okay. Can you see that Tabletop Simulator now?
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Phew. All right. So Dragon Insurance, like I said, Cardboard Edison finalist this year, or maybe I didn't say that. So the game is a competitive word building game for 2 to 5 players that plays in about 20 minutes. And since you are keen on components, we'll just look in the rulebook here real quick. There's a lot of letter tokens, game board to place them on, dragons, dragon dice, sand timer, dry erase markers, office cubes, and insurance cards.
Are those 4 unique dice?
Yes. They all have all the letters of the alphabet almost on them. And I'll show you how the game plays. I can get the camera there. Okay. So how the game plays out. It's played in 3 acts. You can see the dragons here, and all the things that the dragons want to burn are the letters that you're using. So my goal was to make a game that was a little more fun thematically of a word game. So each of these tokens is double-sided too, so every game's different. In Act 1, you are the insurance salespeople, and you're using your insurance cards to secretly write words based on the letters in each of the islands. So you're doing that as quick as you can. The first player to finish starts the sand timer, and then everyone else has a minute to finish up. In Act 2, then you become the dragons, and what you wrote down on your sheet is going to determine your strategy for this section. So anyone can control any dragon, and you'll see the dragon dice up here are tied to the colors of the dragons. So on your turn, you can move a dragon to an adjacent island. So I'll move this dragon here, and I'm going to burn this peasant. And so I'm starting to form a word up top. And so your goal is to burn up letters that you think other people used on their words. It's all secret still. And avoid your own letters. So there becomes these fun moments of kind of collaboratively making words, trying to guess where this word is going to go, and maybe try to, foil other people's plans to avoid getting down to one of your islands with words on them, for example. And then finally, the scoring is Act 3, the insurance claims section, where you're counting up how many surviving letters you have in your words. And you get subtracted points if your letters got burned up. And you have office buildings that at the end of your turn, you place down kind of as a bid saying, I think I'm going to have the longest surviving word here. There's also a shoot the moon strategy of insurance fraud. So if you can end up having 10 of your letters burned, you're going to actually get bonuses for the burned letters. And it's a good chance you could win that way, but it's hard to pull off. So that's basically the game. And just so you can see what I'm envisioning on my video here, if you can see it, this is what the insurance cards would look like. So you use your dry erase marker to write it down, flip it down, and keep it secret till the end of the game. So that's the pitch, and happy to hear questions or feedback.
What was
so at the end of that pitch, I don't understand the central mechanism, which is not a great sign. I don't understand the words that you're writing down, how they relate to the words that you're spelling and the words that other people are spelling. I don't understand that at all.
Sure, that is the hard part of the pitch for this one, because it's actually kind of like a double layer word game. So the first part of the game is more like Boggle. You are creating your letters here.
You're making it. So let's say I wrote down pig. Pig was my word that I wrote down.
Yep. So
you're saying I want to avoid the letters PIG, and my opponents are trying to guess that I wrote down PIG and trying to hit those letters, right?
Yep. So as the dragons move downward, you're going to try to avoid. So you'll kind of try to make words that will not let them use your letters up here. And I can zoom ahead actually.
And then up here, you're playing Ghost, right? Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider? Not sure. Is that a game that I should know?
Yeah, it's like a parlor game where I say L and you say M, and I'm calling you because there's no word that starts with LM. Because if I say L, you say O. If I say W, I've lost because I spelled a complete word.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. I've had trouble explaining to people, like, you're making a word, but it doesn't have to finish. But you have to show that it can legally happen by where the dragon could
that's
move.
Ghost. That's the central mechanism of Ghost.
Okay, cool. So this is kind of what an end game might look like. The game ends when people run out of their offices. So it varies depending on player count, but you'll always have about 15 turns total. So, sorry, I'll go back.
One thing I do think, because we did see another competitive word game tonight, the theme of the dragons, I think, matches well with the word, though that's the same audience. Maybe not the insurance, but then that's kind of funny that you have that in that, and it makes sense. You burn up the building, you're insuring the buildings. I thought that was cute, and I can see the same audience being interested in dragons as being interested in a word game. I also thought it was really clever how you put this all together. I did judge this in Cardboard Edison. So as soon as you brought this up, I remembered that I had seen it before, slightly differently looking. And I thought it was a clever way of doing it. And I'd probably want to play it and see more. It's cute. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
My thematic objection, and this is something that I'm very fixated on as a publisher and as a designer, is I didn't like that you changed point of view halfway through the game. Like, you are an insurance company. Okay, now ignore that. You are a dragon. And I'm like, well, who am I then? Does the dragon own the insurance company? Does the dragon work for the insurance company? I just can't process being two completely disparate things in the same game, because I'm like, how am I, as an insurance company, making a strategy for a dragon? I don't get it.
Yeah, I'll admit that it's kind of a weird game, and I've tried to figure out a way to do this theme, honestly, in a way.
I mean, dragons are intelligent. Just be like, you're a dragon who owns an insurance company. Bam,
Okay.
done. Or
And
you're a
you're
dragon
just-
who's hired
you're
by an insurance company.
Okay, committing insurance fraud yourself, maybe.
Or maybe
that's
the
dragon.
whole world is all
Yeah.
dragons, and you just happen to be dragon insurance people.
Sure.
But I would make that a high priority for people like me who care about the ludonarrative dissonance.
Yeah.
I also like the shoot the moon strategy, just because every game, if it has a shoot the moon strategy, I get excited. I love it. I love a good shoot the moon strategy.
Yeah, same.
I really wanted to be wowed at the top of this. Man, we're burning letters. Like, that's cool. Hit me with it early. Like, get me interested in burning my opponents by burning their letters early, for sure.
Got it.
This is now just purely a branding thing. Dragon Insurance doesn't tell me it's a word game, and I feel like most word games will hint to it in the title somewhere.
Sure.
So that might be something to think about.
Yeah.
As far as this theme, I think enough people like dragons that you will get like the people that like word games, and they probably like dragons because dragons are generic enough. But you might pull enough people in with the dragons to, like, even if they don't like word games, which is a good tie-in.
Yeah, it's a good fit. And then like Heather said earlier, insurance is a funny combination of the mundane and the magical is always good for a laugh.
Yeah, but I agree. The title, I would come up with a different title, because there's, no way if I just look at the cover that I know it's a word game. Now, maybe there's a ton of letters on there, but still I might not get it. So you might want to think about that.
Sure.
Yeah, like letter jam, you're like, oh yes, that's obviously a spelling game. And you have, like, insurances have books, so you've got like a book angle to play on. You've got dragons are magic, spells are magic, spelling. There's a few different angles you could definitely explore to try to combine the two.
Any final thoughts?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, all the publishers. Thanks for all your feedback. I'm sure everyone has learned a lot today. And if anyone watching wants to participate in the next one, we have a Discord at weirdgiraffegames.com/Discord. So have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Carla.
Thanks,
Thanks, Carla. This is a lot of fun.
It's fun. Bye.
Bye.